Welcome to the channel. We are your Emerald Coast relocation experts, Chelsea and Pete Sweeney.
Yep.
And just like many of you who are looking into Florida, we too just chose Florida as our home. And boy, have we learned a lot. Today we're gonna be talking about what we wish we knew before we moved here.
All right, let's go. First thing that we're going to be covering is honestly probably the thing that you're thinking about the most if you are coming from somewhere that does not experience hurricanes, that hurricane preparedness, right? What does that look like? And so we went in, we're like, generator, all your stuff or whatever.
And when we moved here, we actually met with a local and we were talking about this kind of hurricane preparedness. And they were asking us all these questions. They're like, do you have shutters? Do you have this? Do you have that? So we knew, number one, that you had to obviously look into the insurance, which, guys, by the way, after the whole hurricane thing happened with Florida, it is outrageous to get this wind and hurricane coverage. And what we didn't know is they will not cover you with that insurance because we were buying in the middle of this whole thing, or like right before it happened, and they said, oh, you cannot get insurance because...
Even though it wasn't hitting Pensacola, right? Or that whole area right there is like, yeah, we have a moratorium right now. You cannot actually add that onto your policy. It's like, we're buying a house right now.
So I recently went back and like, hey, we're out of like hurricane season, which again, we didn't know when that even was. But like, we're out of hurricane season. We'd like to add that on the policy. They're like, okay, it's gonna be about $15,000 on top of your premium. I about fell out of my chair.
Yep.
I was like, well, my premium's $2,200, so why is it $15,000? I think because of the hurricane that recently happened, it's really, really hard for these insurance companies to cover this.
Yep.
And now it's becoming impossible to get a decent policy that's gonna be affordable. So that's one thing. The other thing is all the stuff that you have to get to be prepared in the house.
Yeah, you don't really think about this. And so like as we kind of talked to more people down here and stuff, they gave us their different insights. This is the worst thing about like with the hurricane is you have your shutters on nighttime. It's super dark. No one can see. And so you need to make sure you have, some type of candles, battery powered lights or anything like that. They said a fan is huge. If you have a generator, it'd be nice to be able to plug it in, but it gets crazy hot and you can't really open up the windows. And so just all those things that you didn't think about that we also didn't think about before we moved to Florida. We're like, yeah, beach, it's super
like,
cool.
Yeah, it's
but then when
great.
you think about hurricane stuff, we're like, oh yeah, we should have thought about that.
We also didn't think about it when buying the house. So now we have to we're like, okay, yeah, I guess we don't have that, or okay, that is something we need to add. So just something to be aware of. And also the evacuation plan. A lot of people who were in Florida during the time, luckily we were not, but we had already purchased, and we did not think to kind of know like which area you're in and how the evacuation stuff works. So our biggest point behind all of this is just being aware, like some houses come with the shutters on it, or they come with certain windows or things that are easy to put on, or all those things. So just being aware and asking questions when you are purchasing of like, what do I have to be prepared for this, and what would I need to do if it doesn't have that currently on the house? I think that was a big learning lesson for us.
Well, and then a good thing too is that Trent, one of the main guys that's on our team that helps you guys out, he is an expert when it comes to these things. He kind of mentioned to us, all right, you got to look out for your shutters. He went through some of the really bad hurricanes that did happen in the Emerald Coast area, and so he had some insight into it. He's like, yeah, there was a point where I was literally sleeping on a mattress outside because it was so freaking hot inside the house.
All right, the second thing that we wish we knew is the tourist season. We were tourists before moving and choosing Florida for our home. And so we only went during tourist season when it was cold in the state of Colorado. So we thought that that's what it was always kind of like, and we had gone in the same time frame of the year. Now moving here, we're learning that there are some major seasons for tourism that really affect like us playing around in different areas.
Well, then it's a lot different because in your off seasons, those restaurants that are hopping and popping all during the hot season, you go there and it's like dead. You're like, what is going on? And it's just like, yeah, it's downtime right now. And so it seems really dead. It's actually pretty awesome though, because you go to a restaurant and you like get something, it comes out like right away. And so that's super cool. But at the same time, just kind of expect those influxes of, high tour season. Guess what? It's going to be a lot harder to go into the restaurant, to go to the stores, and all these things, the beaches.
The beach is going to be more crowded. So not that you need to have a pool, but I cannot tell you how exciting it was for us to have a pool during when it was really, really busy at the beach. We still could cool off and be outside and have water. So in some of the other cities, you'll have kind of that river life or the sound or the bay, and you can still take advantage of that. It is really nice having young kids to be able to just go out back and be like, hey, it's really hot out today. Why don't you guys go jump in the pool? And you don't even have to have the pool heated in the summertime because it's hot, 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 and it's humid. So it's nice that we did have a pool, knowing that we can still cool off without having having to deal with the crazy beaches during tourist time.
The third thing that we wish we would have known is pretty much the difference between like oceans and lakes. We came up from a place that has lakes, and I would say they're very big lakes, and so you got small lakes compared to the ocean. So there's just stuff like fishing, right? I'm like, hey, cool, I'll bring all my fishing poles. And I go down and I hold it up, and next to the guy next to me, I'm like, you know, it's one of those competitions where you're like, ew, and then he's just like, ew. It's crazy how big the fishing poles are when you are fishing more saltwater.
Well, and our son too, he was really excited. He's like, Dad, you gotta take me fishing.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my God, we need like an ocean fishing book. We need to figure out how to do the ocean stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all of the activities on the ocean. The other thing that I thought was really cool, and things I'm still very much so learning, being new to Florida, is the difference between like riptide, rip current, or undertows. Like, what to look out for. I guess apparently locals have told us now that you can see when a rip current is happening, and it's like the calm area, and a lot of people will go right to the rip current and put their kids in that whole area, which is only from knee height to about waist height in water, and that's actually where a rip current's going on, but it looks like a great place for your kids to go play. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I also learned, this is like weird facts, but probably anybody who lives next to the ocean, they know these things, is that if you are in a rip current, you are not supposed to swim towards the beach. You're actually supposed to swim parallel to the beach, and if you just swim a certain, because it's not very wide, I guess, then you can actually get out of it versus trying to swim to the beach. So little things, especially when you have little kids, knowing those things, being aware of your safety. They were talking about the color of swimsuit that you should wear in the ocean, like just insane things about ocean compared to like lakes. Like, what do you have to worry about? A catfish in the lake? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's like lakes are pretty much.
There's not a lot of things.
This might seem like a little thing, but what we decided to do one time when we were down there is we brought our regular wagon. You know, we bought at Costco. It's got like the super skinny wheels. You know, they fold up. You know what wagons I'm talking about?
The kid wagon.
Yeah, we tried bringing it through and it just like sunk. And I'm like, oh shit. And then I look around and everyone's got like these massive tires on their freaking wagons, and it's like, we need to get the ones with the wheels that have like the sand paddles on them. It looks like they're like getting ready to freaking, but yeah, once we did convert over, it was so much easier to pull that wagon on. But just something super small that you really don't think of. We just brought a regular wagon. We didn't really know much.
We've covered 3 of the 5 things that we wish we knew. If you are liking this content or you want to know more about these areas, please do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell, because that will notify you every single time that we put out a new video, and we put out 2 videos a week for you guys. We do all of this for you.
And of course, if you are looking at purchasing real estate in the Emerald Coast, give us a call or text the phone number right below. Right below right there, we are the ones that you want to know, the experts to get you where you want to be.
The 4th thing that we wish we knew when moving to Florida, and more specifically in this Emerald Coast area, is the humidity. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, okay, Chelsea, you moved to Florida and of course it's humid. But that's actually not it. The thing that I think is really interesting is that you can get dehydrated in the humidity, which is funny because you feel like you're literally like sitting in a shower. But because you're sweating so much, you can get really dehydrated. The other thing too, especially with little kids, if you're in a freezing cold pool or you're in the ocean, it also does not remind you to drink a lot of water. And so because you're playing in the water all the time, I don't know, it like quenches your thirst a little bit. So you have to constantly remind your littles and yourself that you're sweating a lot and you need to rehydrate in this humidity.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say there's different things with food. Now, this might not be the same for you depending on where you come from. You might become somewhere from humidity and you're like, hey, I'm used to these things. But we come from somewhere that's pretty much the driest state in the freaking U.S., right? Okay, not the driest. It's the highest altitude.
I guess.
It's the highest altitude, but it's super dry where we come from. There's like no humidity whatsoever. But the food just tastes a little different in humidity, if that makes sense. Like the cheese, I was like, what's going on?
It like melts really fast. Like,
yeah,
you can't leave out butter. Like, you know, sometimes we used to leave out butter to let it be soft.
Oh, you gotta put the rice and the salt?
Oh, God.
I always saw in Mexico and I was like, why is
the rice drives me nuts because you can't get out the salt anywhere you go. And then every time you're there, you're like, and I love salt. I can have as much salt as I want because I have low blood pressure. So I'm like, really love salt. And every single time we go to a restaurant, I'm like, can I get a new salt thing? Like, this one's just like destroyed by the humidity. The other thing is we are used to having cold air when we came from Colorado. And so when we go out and it's really, really hot in the summer, we turn on the AC. However, because there's such a difference from the outside air to the inside air, our windows like cry, which is so funny because I'm going over, I'm like, gosh, what is wrong with the window? And it's like, you know, you're getting the condensation on the inside of the windows because we like to keep our house really cold. So just noting, you have to go around and clean all your windows all the time, or you like adjust like the air so it's not so different, because otherwise you'll start seeing like the weeping on the walls and the windows.
Yeah, and like I found this one of these little containers in the pantry.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck? It looks like a can of ooze.
Yeah, we were like, what
or something.
is
What is this?
this?
And they're pretty much dehumidifier, like just can ones or whatever. So they take the moisture out of because it was in the pantry.
And the closets.
And the closets. And it's like takes all the moisture out of the closets. But it looked, I was just like, God, what is that?
It looked like
stuff?
a molded over, like.
Yeah, it was just weird.
We were like, this is really gross. Don't touch it. We don't know what it is. Then we like looked into it, like, oh my gosh, like we need all of those everywhere because everything smells like a little moldy or a little like
mildewy. Yep.
We're like, it's just everything's really damp.
Yep. And so we also have an Airbnb too that's just right down the street from us right now. And we had someone stay there long term. I think it was like a month or 2 months or something like that. Well, they kept closing the shower curtain, and the shower curtain where it touches on the shower pan, it got a bunch of black mold on it because it was just that moisture was sitting in there, and that black mold grows so much easier than somewhere like where we're from. And so these certain things that we just really didn't think about. The fifth thing that we wish we would have known about is the actual type of wildlife that's in the Emerald Coast, because you kind of think about Florida, you're like, all right, cool, they say there's going to be alligators there, or snakes, and
like
all that
sharks,
stuff.
and all the things you'd think happen.
Yeah, and so it's like snakes. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever, but I didn't know that there was going to be water moccasins there. I was driving around with Trent, our expert, and all this stuff, and he's like, yeah, we got, they're also called cottonmouths water moccasins. And I thought it was like in the bayous of Louisiana or some crap like that. I was like, they're here? Okay. Those things freak me out more than anything because of how they swim all freaking dangerous like. It's crazy. And then also, what's the thing that's eating our trash?
So our Airbnb guests had left the trash out on our Airbnb down the street, and we were like, okay, no problem, we'll get the trash, it's picked up tomorrow. And they're like, no, we can't leave it out. I'm like, oh, because they are actually from this area. They were just coming up to travel with friends, and there was a bear. And
big black bear.
We live in Gulf Breeze, guys.
Yeah.
We are surrounded by water on both sides. We have the bay and we have the sound, and there's a bear.
Yeah.
Where did he come from? Did he cross the bridge?
I didn't know there was bears down there. I mean, we just sound like super ignoramuses right now because we should have researched this a little bit. But a bear, we caught a baby coyote on our camera stealing the pizza.
Gosh. You have to tell. Okay, real quick story, and then we will get back to the thing.
Yeah. So what we did was I ordered a pizza. I sent it to the wrong property because we got 2 properties that are in the Emerald Coast. And I was like, oh crap, it's over there.
We're like, oh.
Didn't go. I was like, I'll just go tomorrow morning and pick it up or whatever. And then I see a motion on our blink camera. There was in the guest stand at the time. Little baby coyote came up and decided to steal the pizza. I was like, he just took that pizza.
We've seen raccoons, all the things that you see. We come from Colorado. We had the Rocky Mountains. These are things that we were like, yeah, Rocky Mountains. Of course, we got bears and coyotes and all the things.
Yeah.
I did not expect to see that 10 minutes from the beach.
Yeah.
I just didn't. It's crazy. All right, we covered 5 things that we wish we knew. I'm sure over the next year, and as we familiarize ourselves with Florida, we are gonna have to do another video like this. But if you are liking this video, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time that we put out a new video.
And of course, guys, if you are looking at purchasing real estate in the Emerald Coast, give us a call or text, the phone number right below. Right below, right there. We answer, doesn't matter date or time. Until next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, let me start that over.
Yep.
We were rip current, riptide.